Today we explore a place that sadly, like many of its kind, holds a controversial past. It was originally founded nearly 200 years ago in 1847 as the first juvenile reform school in America. The school over the next decades was overrun by riots and runaways, and due to a reform movement, the site was moved to a nearby location and named after Theodore Lyman, a philanthropist, in 1886. This new school, unlike the centralized prison style of the first, used a spread-out cottage-style system of buildings. The vast new area of land was originally half farms and maintained by the nearly 400 students there. This student body was determined by the state, who would send juveniles to it for simple crimes such as truancy or stubbornness, or conditions such as mental disability or emotional instability. The students would live in one of 9 large brick buildings, each overseen by a husband and wife team. They would be released when considered reformed or at the age of 21. The school gave a religious education broken down into Catholic or Protestant, and an auditorium for church services was also used to show movies. This education also included trades such as cooking, painting, masonry, electrical work, plumbing, and printing. The students themselves ran the sprawling campus and maintained all of its buildings. The schedule was strict, starting at 5:20 a.m. and running to 7:40 p.m. The school continued to grow in the Great Depression, reaching over 700 acres, and became a source of war recruits in World War II. While seemingly a success from the way students ran the institution, there was a darker side to the school that only became worse with time. This included massive overcrowding, with student numbers reaching 600 and being forced to sleep underneath occupied beds, and a staff whose numbers and quality steadily declined to a mere 20 on duty daily. Also, an arson nearly destroyed the early school, and rumors of missing runaways being murdered or buried in the nearby swamps by the staff members have persisted. These negative changes had began with a positive change in the 1950s, where the 70-hour work weeks of the students were abolished and replaced with 40-hour work weeks, with 200 acres of land sold to pay for the new costs. The students were at this time removed from their maintenance and farm work positions. With this ended the vocational training, and the buildings entered a decline as students were confined to watching TV or doing chores for money. At the same time, students slowly became admitted for more gang-related violent or drug crimes. Many famous criminals would then attend the school, including Robert DeSalvo, the Boston Strangler, who would escape Bridgewater State Hospital in 1967 after being sentenced to life in prison for a series of rapes. He was later stabbed to death in the prison infirmary in 1973. The death knell came in the 1960s as trade unions began to complain to Governor Endicott Peabody that the state-owned buildings were maintained by non-union workers. The solution to changing this would increase the cost of running the site tenfold. So in 1969, Governor Francis Sargent appointed Professor of Psychology Jerome Miller, an advocate of deinstitutionalization, to examine the situation there, leading to its closing in 1972. The students were sent to foster care or returned to family, with the rest secretly removed by university student social reform supporters. It has now sat some 50 years decaying and abandoned, eventually dwindling to a few derelict structures, 2 of which we will explore today. We start at the old school building, which may have also housed printing facilities. Today it is a structure of 2 wings, thoroughly overgrown. Inside are what appear to be machines related to the on-site printing done by students. A small painting of Jesus attests to the religious nature of the schooling here.
Should I go up these stairs?
Up a small spiral stair are cubbyholes, possibly for personal storage. I'm just going over these stairs. It just goes over the stairs. It's just a little nerve-wracking. Looks like there's an open window, so that looks like there's a hole maybe. No, I mean, I'm scared. I was terrified just walking across there. It's all wet. And the roof is like wet and starting to collapse in places. I went very slowly and carefully. we descend into the darkness. The next room is a wild assortment of items and seems to have become a general storage. The next building we will examine today is the hall reserved for runaways, troublemakers, and those being punished. Unfortunately, it has been sealed up recently.
It's a huge piece of slate.
As we leave the school, it is clear that these buildings will not stand much longer. Like the overgrown basketball court and its vine-tangled hoops, the story of this place will be buried with time, and eventually one day forgotten. Join us next exploration as we travel through an abandoned mansion and its lost tale.